WNBA.
Right?
Why won't you watch the WNBA? Why don't you watch the WNBA?
Well, I'm not going to watch it. It's awful. But you should be watching it, you sexist pig.
It's odd. I was watching a clip of an Indian weightlifter. Guy in India, and he's pressing something, and he Valsalvas and passes out. He drops the weight and just blacks out. But it turns out weightlifting and bodybuilding is becoming very, very popular in India.
Oh.
They're just really getting a following. And it made me think, this got to be the first time in history that India has excess calories that they feel like they need to do exercise.
Welcome to Two Gaming Dudes, and we're in May, and it's the 25th anniversary of The Phantom Menace. This shit came out 25 years ago, dude.
It feels like yesterday.
So, they say hindsight is 20/20.
Yeah.
So it's been 25 years, and since then, Disney has taken over Star Wars, and we've gotten all the Star Wars crap that came after. And it kind of made me want to go back and kind of reflect on it.
I think it's a good idea.
Like, was it really bad?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, it was bad.
Because it's got a couple of moments that I think really aren't, I shouldn't say aren't bad, but some things in there that I think they did right.
Oh, okay. Well, here's the thing. If, let's say, the Disney thing hadn't happened.
Okay.
We never get any sequels. We don't get The Rise of Skywalker.
Right.
Or The Last Skywalker or any of that. All we got was this. Mm-hmm. Phantom Menace, Clones, and Revenge.
Right.
25 years later, we'd still be saying Phantom Menace sucked.
Probably, yes.
What a turd.
So that's what we needed. We just needed something worse.
Now that we've had the diarrhea that Disney has done to this property.
Fire bad!
We can look back and say, that was a pretty poor attempt at Star Wars. It still looks and feels like Star Wars.
Yes.
So because it still looks and feels like Star Wars, we'd say, that was some pretty weak Star Wars. You compare it to the modern stuff that we have now, that's not Star Wars.
No.
This at least was recognizable as Star Wars.
Yes.
So I'll give it that.
I also want to give it props for knowing what they wanted to do with it when they started.
Yeah.
And having 3 episodes, 3 movies, and like, all right, let's figure this out from beginning to end. What are these 3 movies? What's supposed to happen? How does this trilogy end?
That's one thing that I really liked. It was clear George Lucas, he'll tell you, he'd been thinking about this for decades. He knew exactly what episodes 1, 2, and 3 were.
Right.
He wants to be Anakin becoming what he becomes. And the sad thing is, poor Jake Lloyd, he fell into the trap that a lot of child actors fall into with mental health and drug stuff. And
Sure. Really, I mean, this didn't help. Yeah.
It's really sad because he really didn't deserve any of the shit that he got for this. Anyway, that's not the point. You could tell it was one guy with one clear vision steering the boat. It was great.
Sure.
And I could tell he was trying to do the same tone as you got for the original. Right? A New Hope is childish and silly. This is ridiculous, childish and silly. Stupid, childish and silly. But New Hope was also the most childish of the originals.
Yes.
Oh, you're making a mess.
Yeah.
And Luke's getting in trouble because he didn't clean his room. And Yoda, mine. It's got its silly. And then Empire, it became a little more mature. As the audience was a little older and getting mature. So by the time you get to Jedi, it may as well be a Greek tragedy.
You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Because you recognize it's not childish anymore. It is dark. So much that they're like throwing some cute teddy bears because this is way too dark. They tried to do the same here. They just went really, really childish. And Clones was not as childish. And by the time you get to Revenge of the Sith, it is deep, emotional drama.
Right.
And I'll still say it's the best of the prequels.
I will agree with that.
My problem with this is that it went so childish.
I feel like the first one did so much world building to introduce you to what Star Wars is currently.
Yeah.
That the whole movie feels like it's just setting you up for the next 2 movies.
Maybe.
So, yeah, and I have a real problem with the acting.
In this?
In this first three movies.
Oh.
Because in the whole prequel trilogy, the acting is pretty bad. It always feels like they just went with the first take, whatever the first take was,
Maybe.
and they're like, that's good enough, and then they keep going. It's also the first time they ever did that amount of green screen. That's never really been done before. So you can tell actors aren't 100% sure where they're supposed to look or how they're supposed to react to things. This came out around the same time like Jurassic Park came out.
Yeah.
And Spielberg knew, I can't have kids screaming and in terror if it's just some dude holding a green puppet thing that says, I'm a dinosaur.
Right.
Rawr. So he built a giant dinosaur head and frickin' attacked the children.
No one will say that George Lucas is Steven Spielberg.
No, not at all. Not at all. But I'm just
But he
saying,
understands Star Wars.
That kind of affected,
Yeah.
I think, the acting, because you can't respond to something grandiose happening to you when there's nothing there but just green.
Well, I wonder if it was a cost-saving measure. Maybe they really only did one take of stuff, right? Because there was a lot of rumors that Lucas is really cutting corners here. Like when there was a scene where they pan across during the pod race, a section of fans sitting in the bleachers.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to pay for models for each of them. So they took like broken off Q-tips and just dip it in paint, and it looks like heads sitting from a distance. It looks like heads sitting in a crowd.
Huh.
It was stuff because he was paying for this himself. He produced this because he didn't want the studios in on it. He was paying for this himself. I can't afford 40 takes. Get it right on the first take.
That makes a lot of sense.
I think maybe that's why that was.
That makes a lot of sense. I can understand that.
I don't know why Liam Neeson just phoned in his performance.
Here comes Peter Cottontail, hopping down the bunny trail.
A lot of them did kind of do that. I also want to give it props for music, for John Williams.
Well, okay.
Because
you know you're going to get perfection from him every time.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes he does phone it in.
Well, this last,
the last couple ones, he was like, I've got some music that I literally crapped out and wiped my ass with, and it kind of looks like notes. So here you go. 97 years old. This is the best you're going to get from me.
But that's what I'm saying. The first three, at least, they were clearly Star Wars. You could watch it. Oh, this is Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously it's Star Wars.
Yeah. And when it was over and you walked away from it, you're like, I just watched a Star Wars movie. It might not have been a great
a sucky
movie.
one.
Yeah, but it was definitely Star Wars.
There's a difference between that's not what this is and they took a legit swing and a miss. You took a swing, you missed. Get it right on the next one. Not, we've completely rewritten what this is. I'm going to make it mine. And I want witches and zombie stormtroopers. Buddy, you just shit the bed. You've ruined it. You've ruined Star Wars.
Yeah.
So I can appreciate this now that it's not covered in Disney diarrhea.
I saw somebody else talking about this recently, and they mentioned something they thought was pretty cool. So this came out in 1999, and I think the best thing that we had for social media at the time was MySpace, maybe? I don't even think that was out yet. So there is no real social media, so to build hype for this, you just kind of saw a commercial on TV or something. And yet the hype for this movie was insane.
Well, yeah.
Insane.
Because since like age 9 years old, we were screaming, when are we going to get more Star Wars?
Yeah.
Since age 9.
We had nothing. We had 3 movies, and that's it. Except a couple of Ewok
and a lot of toys.
Things and some, like 1 or 2 cartoons, but they sucked. So this was a big, big deal. And I remember even then, all 3 movies, even the first one I saw, and I was like, well, that wasn't the greatest, but it still was Star Wars.
Yeah.
And, hey, we're going to do another one. All right, I'm in.
Yeah, because maybe they'll get it right this time.
Yeah.
There's no way Star Wars is going to suck. And then Clones was better.
Yes.
It was better.
It was better.
And by the time you got to Revenge of the Sith,
you were like, that was good.
Now you figured out,
good.
I wish you could have done it like this from the beginning, but it's okay.
It's okay.
George has been out of the game for a long time. It took him, it's okay.
He had to warm up a little bit.
So I can forgive it.
Right.
I met Jar Jar Binks. I think I've told this story before. I met Ahmad Best. I was reading for a FedEx commercial. And I'm looking at, we're sitting in the waiting room going over lines for this FedEx commercial. And, Ahmad? Hey, how you doing? We shook hands. What are you doing, bro? What are you reading for? He's, I'm reading for this FedEx commercial. Like, this was in like 2008.
Oh, this was, okay.
I'm like, you're in the most successful sci-fi series ever. What are you doing reading for FedEx commercials? He's like, I got rent to pay, man. I need the work. I was astonished.
Yeah.
He didn't get it either.
Oh my God.
The kid from Silicon Valley ended up scoring that FedEx commercial anyway, so I didn't feel so bad. But like, Jar Jar, what are you doing? And I think maybe it was so bad it ruined his career.
Well, he wasn't.
All he's ever going to do is be Jar Jar Binks now. He's the next Anthony Edwards. Hopefully he can just ride this out and have a comfortable life.
And just be Jar Jar forever?
Well, I mean, what else is he going to do?
That's fair.
He's this tall, skinny, dorky guy. He's a shit actor, but he's a dancer and an acrobat. And
I think at one point he tried to be a stand-up comedian too, I don't think that worked out too well for him either.
Phantom Menace.
The Phantom Menace. You know what? It's not as bad as I remember. It's still not great, but it wasn't as bad as I remembered. And it had some moments. It had that Duel of the Fates moment at the end, that little lightsaber battle. It wasn't bad.
That's Star Wars porn.
Yeah, it was.
So what?
But you know what? It was Star Wars porn at a time when we had none.
When we had nothing, yeah.
So we forgave it for doing it.
Yeah.
Look, my lightsaber comes out both ends. And we were all like, oh my God! And we're all clapping. And yeah!
Even when you
now,
do something cool. You had Darth Maul. Like, this dude is sweet. You would just see the photo of him and be like, that's the villain? I can't wait to see this guy.
Yeah.
He gets 2 lines of dialogue and then he gets cut in half.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. You had an opportunity. You blew it. Don't retcon it 20 years later. Oh, he survived and now he's got robot legs and we'll write this whole
and now he's got his own
bullshit.
series.
I'm not buying it. You had your chance to do something great with his character. You blew it. Move on. Come up with another character. Come up with another character.
Please. I know you're capable.
The current talent pool is not capable.
Well, no.
But there are artists out there who are capable.
I think what hurts the most is knowing how excited I was for even this. And now, today, there's Star Wars stuff that has come out now. There is something new that I didn't even know. I was flipping through, like Google or something, and I saw, what'd you think of the new Star Wars, what is it, the Empire or something, Tales of the
Empire.
Tales of the Empire.
It's the second half of Tales of the Jedi, which also sucked. I don't care.
I didn't know it came out. I didn't know it was coming out. And now that it's out, I still don't care.
Contrast that to episode 1.
Oh, man.
We drove to Grand Rapids. We drove 3 hours to Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Because it was the only IMAX theater in the area.
In 1999, that had THX certified sound.
Yes.
It wasn't because of the IMAX.
No, it was
We had
the
closer
sound.
IMAXs.
You're right.
They were THX certified. Well, we got to go see it there. But there's an IMAX down. But they're not THX sound certified. What if the sound doesn't sound? You're right. We got to go to Grand Rapids for this.
3-hour drive.
I can be sitting on my couch right now with a remote control going, Heir to the Empire. What Tales of the Empire? Bullshit. This is something on Thor Ragnarok. Give me that.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll watch that again, I guess.
That's the difference. You want to know why your product sucks and you're not making any money? That's why.
Yeah. And for every fan out there who insists on defending the current state of Star Wars, if it's so good, why isn't anybody watching it? If you insist that this is the greatest era of Star Wars, why do the ratings suck? How come no one's watching it? I've seen people on Twitter defend it and like, did you watch it? Well, no.
It's like the WNBA.
Right?
Why won't you watch the WNBA? Why don't you watch the WNBA?
Well, I'm not going to watch it. It's awful, but you should be watching it, you sexist pig.
So stupid.
Well, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments. It's been a while. So what do you think of The Phantom Menace? I mean, did you love it back when it came out? Did you go through that period of like, oh, Star Wars all sucks? But now when you think back to it, you're like, well, actually, it wasn't that bad.
No, it's as bad as we remember. It is objectively a bad movie. It's not well made. It wasn't well thought out. Wasn't well written. Not well executed. It's not a good movie. But it is Star Wars. Ahsoka was not Star Wars.
No.
It's some weird mix of The Walking Dead, Hocus Pocus.
and That's So Raven. You got a little bit of that Disney
Hannah
XD
Montana.
in there, a little Hannah Montana in there. Yeah.
Girl power. It's not Star Wars. It's not Star Wars.
Leave your thoughts down there in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Please do so.
All right, thanks for hanging out. Later.